Michiko Hatchin, episode 16, Etude of Crimson Inconstancy. An interesting episode, to say the least, I think, because it was really interesting, but in a very, light, sort of subtle way. And the first big thing is that it is officially Hiroshi, because I had my doubts, honestly. I was like, it could be him, it could just be a guy that looks like him, because that did happen before. We did have this whole, he blew up on the bus thing, and this didn't feel like the type of show that would be sort of a mystery type thing. So I still have my doubts a little bit, but it is officially Hiroshi. When they do the little flashback, we get to see that he has the tattoo on his shoulder, because that was like the biggest thing. It's like if he has the tattoo, then it's him. Like that, there's nothing else to it. So we got to see that, and it's kind of cool to know that he is officially alive. It's not just another guy that looks like him. This is officially him. So that question has been answered, which is nice. Of course, that does bring up the other question, since it is officially Hiroshi. How did he survive that bus crash? Like, was it someone else's body and they thought it was him? Like he just planted some DNA on the bus or something? Like, what exactly happened that made him fake his own death and take off? But good episode. We got Elise, who is a very interesting character. Like, she's just, I don't even really know how to describe her character. Like, she meets Michiko and Hatchin, and she's just like, of course, Michiko goes in full force. She kicks the first security officer heel to nuts, and he's down. Then she takes out the other guys. I don't know how. That woman was just, like, awesome, because, like, she was in heels, and she's running around and doing kicks and junk. I'm like, how in the world can she do that? But she does. Of course, it's hard to kick, gas, but she does get captured, and then and I love the scene when she's captured, and then Hatchin is already in the office and stuff, and she cuts her loose, and she's like, all right, you're free, and she just yells at her. The first thing she says, like, what are you doing in here? And it was like, what the heck? Like, you going like a maniac. I kind of just walked right in. It was very, very funny to me, but it was really interesting seeing Elise interact with Michiko. And Michiko in this episode was very different than she normally is, because she was so close to her goal this entire series. And it was very interesting watching her be so different than normal, because typically she's like just a hardcore, no nonsense woman. And she, like in the beginning of this episode, just whoops people up, just kicking and flipping and punching, do whatever, gunfights, assassins, all sorts of craziness. And she wasn't that in this episode, at least not in the second half. In the first half, she definitely was, and then after Elise just randomly kisses her, things get really weird for her character, and she totally changes after that, because she's in love with Hiroshi, and she's in love with him in a very unique way, I would say, because it's not like, oh, I love him and that's it. She was kind of like, she's drawn to him, really, in a very serious way, and when she found out that he was with Elise, that really upset her, and it was like she was angry about it, of course, but there were scenes, and they did it in the animation and stuff, and like the way she would look, it was sort of sad and somber, and I was like, that's very interesting, because we don't see that about her character, and it was like she, was just different. She wasn't just like hardcore kick-ass Michiko. She was like, this woman who's in love with this man, and he's gone. Like, she finally was there, and then he was gone, and then instead of finding him, she finds his other lover that he totally abandoned, and it was just crazy. I was like, man, she's not the same like she normally is, and it was good because it was obvious. I mean, the beginning of the series, she was like, it's obvious that she's like insanely in love with him. Almost, it seriously is almost insane, because her whole thing is like, I'm gonna break out of prison and I'm gonna find him, because I don't give a crap, what the news says. I don't believe he's dead. I'm gonna find him. So even in the beginning, it was like that. But when she got there, it wasn't the same. It wasn't that sort of adrenaline based attitude. It was sort of a somber attitude. Like, he should have been here, and instead I find someone else that he slept with, and she didn't like that, and it made her upset, and you could tell, and I thought that was actually really good how they did that, and, she was just, like, I don't want to say weaker, like, that's what keeps coming to mind, but it's not a good, word to use because she wasn't a weak character or anything in this episode, but she was just love struck, and I think very much so in this episode, far more than the others because she was right there, and he took off to basically escape from her. And I loved that. I thought it was good to see her character that way because it was something we hadn't seen before. And I loved it. And Elise was just a crazy character. She was just funny to me, honestly. She was just like, the whole thing was just her in like this weird state of mind almost. And then the end of the episode, she's like, oh, it's good to move on. And like she gave up Michiko Hatchin, like this is where they're going because this is where he went. And that was it. She was just like, I'm going to help them escape. And she even says, like, I helped you because I just find you adorable. You're like a lovesick puppy. And, that's why I'm helping because you still want to find him despite what you just found out recently. So, I liked her character. She was funny. And, she just like even when she was talking, she's like, oh, you gave him up real quick. And she's this professional woman and stuff, and she's just like looking out on the sunset, and then she just leans back on the pole and is just like leaning back and looking all really weird and stuff. And I just thought that was so funny how she was just like this professional woman, but her actions were really funny and silly and just insanely relaxed compared to her position and what you would expect from that type of person. Like in this very high position of the company, and she was just the total opposite action wise, and I love that actually. So I liked her character. I love the song that played in it. It was very simple. It wasn't really anything to it, but I actually really liked that song that played at the end when she's just looking out on the sunset. It was definitely a good episode. I like the flashbacks we got. I was confused at first because I wasn't 100% sure where this was taking place. I thought that this was like a glimpse, like a flash forward in the very beginning of the episode because it looked like she was looking. I thought she was looking at like a camera or something, and it looked like Hiroshi and Michiko were talking. I was like, okay, and she was giving the dialogue and stuff because it was like, oh, your feelings are fickle and stuff like that. I was like, okay, so she thinks that he's cheating on her or something, and he's actually talking with Michiko because she finally found him. And I thought it was a flash forward, and then it's like, oh no, she was just watching TV, but she was talking about him, and I was very confused in the beginning. I was like, now I'm super confused. But then right after that, it kind of got explained. But in that very first scene, I thought she was looking at a camera, but it turns out that's just her really weird TV. Like, I don't know how that even remotely ends up as a TV, but I thought she was looking at a camera at first, and I'm like, okay, so this is a show. So what the heck is happening? Like, I was very confused. But all in all, the answers are given. Hiroshi is officially alive. He has the simplest tattoo, by the way. Like, that's what I really noticed when they first showed him. And, like, you see his tattoo on his arm. I'm like, how the heck did he end up with this minuscule little tattoo? But even Hatchin has this giant effing thing on her. And she had to have gotten that before she was sent to, the priest and his family. So, what was she, like 4 or 5 or something ridiculous like that? And she has this full-on belly tattoo, and he has like this little thing on his arm. And I'm like, for Michiko, I understand like she can get it wherever she wants, and she chose to have it on her stomach. But I just thought that was funny. I'm like, he has this tiny itty bitty little thing, but his daughter, who had to have gotten it years before she was, before now in the actual series, she has like the giant version that Michiko has, and I just thought that was really funny when I first saw it. Like, tiny minuscule little arm tattoo, like nothing. But I'm looking forward to this next episode. I don't know if they're actually gonna get to him in the next episode. I'd love to see that take place. This is the 16th episode, and I believe this anime only has probably 22 or 23 episodes, so we are actually fairly close to the end. Unfortunately, I do really love this anime, and I kind of sucks that it's going to be gone, but it's going to be about 2 months before we actually get there anyway. But like this episode, of course, I want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts, and I want to know what you guys think about us, kind of officially getting Hiroshi alive, and also Michiko being so close, but instead of finding the man she's been searching for the entire time, she ends up finding, like, his former lover. Like, what did you guys think about that? Because for me, at first it was like, that kind of sucks, because I want to know what's going to happen when she runs into him, of course. But then it was like, I really like Elise because she's silly. And of course, the stuff with her accusing Michiko was just really weird. She was like, you could have kissed me back. I'm like, what is going on? Like, she's just, like I said, just this woman who you would think would be, like, the ultimate in professionalism. And then she's just, like, off, just mentally just, like, everything is cool. Just do whatever she wants to do. And she kind of just does all this stuff and just poof, she's up, over Hiroshi at the end. But it was still fun. I do wish that we got to see it, but I guess that would kind of be the end of the series if that were the case. But either way, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.